So my name is Melanie McCall and I'm a practicing visual artist, and my degree is in textiles, and my body of work, generally speaking, is based in textile work. So when I started off in my early years, I did a lot of experimental theater, and I experienced in my late teens, early 20s stage fright. So I couldn't go on stage anymore, and so at that point, because I've always been a lover of clothes, I took to the back of the stage and started to make costumes for different performances in the Peterborough area. And then I decided to relocate to Halifax, Nova Scotia, and at that point I think I was 24 years old, and I started to go to art school at Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. And I knew at the time that I would absolutely be centered in and get my degree in textiles. So that entailed textiles from, let's just say tip to tail. So you would know how to weave, how to screen print, how to manipulate fabrics, how to make them into tensile structures, how to use different dyeing techniques. Like, so shibori, we would have learned early on, for example, different resists, different Japanese burnout pastes, etc. So what I didn't know at the time and then found out was that NSCAD is generally known to be a very slow, traditional-based university, so especially in the textiles department. So we were learning our skills from the very roots of those places, and learned to become experimental over time with our work. And so one of the more forefront professors was Naoko Hulue. And Naoko was Japanese, and she brought a lot of her aesthetic principles to our classroom and spoke to us about how important it is not that your idea in the moment, but to learn all the techniques and methods available to you. And then when you execute your ideas, your original thoughts and concepts, you have a vast template to work from and the knowledge to execute that skill to the level you want it to be at. So that really influenced my work moving forward. And so leaving school, I've still continued a lot of textile heavy work and costume works, very nature-based. I'm a very nature-based artist, which has to do with sort of my underlying Buddhist kind of philosophies around nature and slow moving and concentrated, slow, intentional work that's detail-oriented and executed to the highest degree. Over the last recent few years, I've started to really ponder how I feel about a lot of the screen printing and the dyes that you use are chemical based. And although if you can use them in a proper studio, you can control the amount of chemicals you're using, so you're hopefully exhausting them. But the reality is you're still putting chemicals and plastics into the world. So in the last few years, I've been on a mission to really experiment with natural methods of dyeing and printing. And one of these ideas came from a course I took in the Halliburton School of Art, which was a course called Wrap and Rust. And it was the very beginning at that time, 2015, it was like kind of the beginning of eco printing and rusting. So you use rusted metal to dye on fabrics, and it's permanent. And then you're using natural plants to print onto the fabrics. Being celluloid is the way to go. So that would be your silks, and you would have your wools, because they're like animal based and they take the prints much better. And when you're working with other materials like cottons, you have to then give it an animal base to make the print work better. You can do it without it, but it works better when you soak it in milk, and you can get the prints come out. And that has continued this journey that I've been on, that it's informed sort of more of a natural process of working with the materials, which I find completely satisfying, because I love the unpredictability. Even though you have this template in mind, it's the surprise and the adventure that kind of informs what that textile wants to be. Like it will tell you how it wants to be created, and you have to like work in harmony with the materials to let your idea and their voice kind of merge together and become a new body of work. And recently, I can't get into it too much, but I'm starting on a new body, which is kind of dealing with the inner self, and it's discovering inner archaeology. So dealing with yourself and the concept of digging within your own being to find the parts of yourself that you no longer or forgotten had existed, and rediscovering and reinvigorating those parts of your life.